Be a man who can face breakup, lose a job, deal with debt and still say I'll figure it out. Be a man who watches his world collapse, feels the pain, bleeds in silence, and still sharpens his sword. Be a man who doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't cry for attention. He builds himself in the dark. Be a man who turns rejection into fuel, betrayal into discipline, and loneliness into a fortress. Be a man who doesn't fold under pressure, who looks failure in the eye and grins back. Be a man who leads, who protects, who walks alone if he must, because weakness is contagious, and strength is a choice. Be a man who earns respect without asking, who doesn't need validation, who becomes the storm. Be a man who doesn't escape reality, but dominates it. Be a man who turns pain into power, heartbreak into hunger, and setbacks into strategy. Be a man who walks through hell, lights a cigar, and keeps walking. Be a man who doesn't flinch when life throws knives. He catches them and learns how to aim. Be a man who gets stabbed in the back and forges armor from the betrayal. Be a man who hears you're not good enough and makes it his war cry. Be a man who doesn't seek comfort, he seeks conquest. Be a man who knows love is a gift, but never a leash. Be a man who commands silence louder than noise. Be a man whose scars tell stories, and whose silence makes cowards nervous. Be a man who doesn't fear being alone. He fears becoming average. Be a man who sees through manipulation, breaks free from emotional slavery, and refuses to be tamed.